Do I have what it takes to run a supermarket? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to play Supermarché. This is Legendary Tactics. Supermarché is a game that's free to print and play. There also happens to be a module on Tabletop Simulator, and that's how I'll demonstrate the game to you today. This is the very first game I've ever played, and so don't expect necessarily the highest level of gameplay, but I will do my best. The game itself is pretty straightforward. First of all, we draw 5 customer cards, and we can take a look at them there. We've got Mikolai and Clara, and looks like they've got coupon capacity, and they've got a couple of different, 2 or 3 different spots on their cart. I got a fully stocked store, but I need to make sure that I pick up some backups. And what jumps out at me is that the bakery is really cheap. Bakery goods are really cheap, and dry goods not so much. So I've only got $15 to start with. So this being my first game, I'm not sure how much I should keep in reserve, but I will buy a few things. Because produce expires every turn, and therefore, and also I was thinking as well that it would be a good idea to have some stuff in the stock room, because if you do get into trouble, you can restock midway through the turn. One of the face down customer cards goes away, which might actually be an advantage if you're running short on stock. So I want to have a bit of flexibility that way. So I'm going to pick up some produce and some bakery goods. Now these expire fairly soon. Produce expires every turn, and the baked goods every other turn. So I have to make sure I'm managing that. But in general, I want to make sure I've got a little bit of everything just in case. This is my first game. I'm really not sure how the shopping is going to work and where I'm going to get stuck. You want to make sure that every customer's cart is filled. You don't want them to leave unhappy. So everything else looks pretty good. I've only got $15 to spend, so I'm just gonna. I don't want to spend down to 0 on my first round here. So we'll just go with this shopper here, and I've rolled an 8, which is the frozen goods, and then the next one up is the dairy. So that was pretty balanced kind of thing, but I make $11 out of it, which is good. Gets me back to where I was. Hey, that seemed pretty simple. Let's see how the next one goes. I'm going to flip over another customer card here and see who we'll send into the store next. Oh, that's good. Only 1 spot in his cart. So that's Rory, but maybe just in case, it looks like we'll have enough for Rory, odds are. So let's send Clara in and see what she needs. And she's going to grab some produce, which is good. I want to use up my produce as best I can, because it will expire and go to waste if I don't. And Clara's going to grab baked goods. It's good. I'm glad I have some extras in the storeroom there just in case. In the last roll. Is a frozen good, which is good. There's good money in frozen. Looks like it's getting a little bit low, but should be okay. I'm hoping for now. So we got for another $14 for that. So all in all, pretty balanced. As long as only 2 more items required by Scott, so that's good. No coupons available, so I'm not going to be able to sell multiple goods to them, but that's fine. I'm worried more about running out and paying a penalty than I am so much about selling more and more stuff. I think that's probably something it gets easier the longer you play this game. Dry goods are awesome. That's another $10, which is great. I'll take it. Not bad for one shopper passing through. And then let's see. Oh, perfect. So Ryan's up and Scott, and they only needed a couple items each. So unless I have some really bad luck with frozen goods being chosen, it looks like I'll have enough to cover everyone's order. Takes a produce off my hands, which is great. And a dairy, so it's a nice even balance. Not a lot of money to it, but that's okay. $7 there. And I'm thinking with this game that probably your ideal stock is to have 3 in each bin. You may want to overbalance on occasion if you see a customer coming up with a big demand, or if you have a sale on or something like that. But you're only allowed 15 cubes in the store, so with 5 goods there, I wouldn't want to leave one of them short. So yeah, so this Ryan will take a frozen good, the last of those ones, and just checking out the coupon option here, which is to take a frozen and a bakery. So I think we'll let him use his coupon. So he saves $2, but we get 9 out of that. And we seem to be in pretty good shape. After the first round, this isn't so bad. So I was worried about not having enough stuff for the customers, but they all came in and they got what they wanted. So waste phase now. So the produce all goes to waste. That's 3 cubes there. It's not too bad. It's the price of doing business. And the rest of the cubes there are good at least until the next round. I'm probably going to need to move some of the bakery stuff because that is all set to expire at the end of next turn, as well as the produce that I'll have to buy in for the next round. So anyway, we'll move on to round 2. All in all, not too bad. So in terms of buying everything, I think we'll take a look at what the customers want first, because I think that's why we get to peek at 2 of the cards, 2 out of the 5 cards. Oh, all right, those are big orders. And how are we looking here? Dairy really cheap, the rest of them pretty average. Produce is okay. It seems like the range is between $1 and $5 for most of these cards. So 1 is great. You want to load up on those. 3 is a little bit on the expensive side, but I need to replenish my frozen cubes there because I'm all sold out. And I also need to make sure I got some produce. And my stockroom is only got 20 cubes capacity in it, so I have to be careful to keep an eye on how much money I spend on restocking and make sure that there's enough room in the stockroom as well. I love the idea of the frozen goods though, because you get paid pretty well for them and they never expire, so they're pretty safe buy as long as you get a good price on them. You can carry a bunch of them and not have to stress about that. So I'm just moving the cubes that were already on there, just that were already in the stockroom, just off to the side there, so I can kind of grab the ones that I want and then just add them up at the end. I think that might be the best way to do that. I'll grab 5 produce. Might be a bit much, but I'm looking at those 2 customers and they have pretty demanding carts. So I just want to make sure that I'd rather err on the side of caution here. So pick up a couple dairy. The dry goods seem to be okay. Just make sure I get the right box. That's one of the tricky things when on your first game, is making sure you've got all the boxes lined up in the right way. You want to make sure that you have the goods expiring at the right in the right time, so you're not putting yourself under more stress. So, but I've got a pretty decent amount of money for my first turn. I think that's come out pretty well. So, gotta maybe get another, dry goods there, and just adding up my cubes, making sure. But overall, I think that would be a pretty decent restocking or give me some backups in every area. And with that card, it's so balanced with the exception of dairy. It might stock up a bit on that, but with the exception of dairy, there's not a lot of deals to be had on the purchasing side of things. So might as well just kind of buy what I want to get and just add it up. It's probably going to be a bit of a hefty sum. You've got something in the neighborhood of about 30 bucks just on the goods. And I just really want to make sure I've got a bit of money in the tank so I don't go below zero, because if you do that, that's the end of the game right there and then. Here I am spending my money and making sure I've got doing the math correctly here, but it's going to take me down a ways. But still sitting at 23, it's not too bad. I think we can. That's not a bad starting point considering anything over 50 is a reasonable, or at least a minor victory. So I've got another 5 rounds left. So anyway, we'll stock the stock room here, and we're going to want to get rid of that dairy if we can. Otherwise, that's just going to go to waste. Restock the frozen. So this is what I mean. When you got 5 goods, really, I think a fully stocked store is 3 on each, unless there's some sort of thing where you're looking at the customers and they have ridiculous sized carts, and there's so much that they want to order. I just want to make sure that I've got the right count, because 15 cubes is kind of tough to manage. Hopefully, I'm going to load up in the produce, hoping to unload that, because I need to make sure that we unload the bakery stuff and the produce. And so I'm going to put a sale on the bakery, and you need to run at least 3 sales through the course of the game, so might as well move that the baked goods along. And I'm not going to give each customer a baked good off the top. It just maybe towards the end of the day when the last customer is coming in, I might do something like that if there's room, but I really don't want to leave myself short. So we just rolled an 8, which happens to be a bakery good, and because that is on sale, that means another couple goods are going to be purchased here. As I fumble around with the cubes there. But anyway, it fills up the cart more or less. Sometimes it's tough on tabletop to get the blocks to line up properly. It's pretty comical. Anyway, one more spot on the cart, and the bakery's drawn down a little bit. I'm a little bit nervous because that's the first customer, and we're already down a fair bit in the bakery section. So hopefully that's not going to cost me later on. So we'll roll and see what the last good is going to be. And it's, of course, bakery. So I don't know what Diane is making, but man, she needs a lot of flour. So anyway, this is going to be fun. Yeah, because she ends up, because that's a sale good, she ends up buying a whole bunch. So talk about a loaded cart. Diane's going to ruin me. She's bought up half the store. So anyway, the first round was pretty easy. This one, not so much. But didn't make a bunch of money off it. At least that part's good. But I feel I'm going to be paying some penalties here before the day's out with bakery on sale, and there's no product left on the shelf. This is not good. So anyway, I don't know when to time the and Amy, oh my gosh, she's another 5 items she's going to take. I barely have 5 items there. I don't know what to do. Maybe I should take the smaller customer. I have no backup baked goods here. This is a lesson I'm learning. If you have items on sale, make sure you got extras in the stock room. So yeah, I may be coming across as a bit of a novice here running my supermarket, seeing as I've loaded up on dairy and put a sale in the bakery department. But I'm going to do my restock now because um, I might as well. And, at least this way it drops a customer card so I don't have to worry about it. And I just hope to God that, they just roll a lot of produce going forward. Even frozen goods isn't looking too great at the moment. I'm just counting up the cubes here. I've got another 3 cubes available, so I'll throw them in the dairy section. And as I said, I just hope that this isn't going to be too much of a nightmare. So we'll see how this one goes. And the roll is for frozen goods, so that's great. If we don't fill this card, then that frozen goods is going to go to waste. So it's interesting how this game can really go off the rails quickly. This is not really good, especially when you miss the rolls. And I think that is the bakery. So those goods are all going to go to waste. And unfortunately, that means that the money that was spent on those goods is gone. And I am depleted now in the frozen section. So this is not very good at all. So pay the penalty and get her the heck out of my store. So that wasn't good. I'm going to put all the dissatisfied customers over here, and hopefully the rest of the turn goes well. So I'm reasonably well stocked in the other goods, but don't have much else going on. And oh my gosh, that's another massive shopping list. I don't know who to put in first, but just on the off chance I can fulfill this order here. And no, not a chance. So another penalty paid. That was expensive. So we're down another 13 on that one. So this turn's been a little bit rougher. I won't lie. I really should have put the dairy on sale instead of the bakery. But anyway, we'll see if we can get this customer's order in. So there's a dry good. Now, interestingly, we have a coupon. And what I've noticed in this game is that sometimes you want to use the coupon because it allows you to kind of control which goods they take and can potentially fill up the cart faster in a way that that works. So if you look under the coupon column, it's 3 and 8. So that's a produce and a dairy. And I think I like that combination much better because obviously fills up 2 spots in their cart, and that makes it safer. And also, did I get away with it? I did. Whew. And also it finishes their shopping trip sooner, so you're able to get the shopper done and out the store. So I did a coupon on that, so it's $2 discount on the produce. So it's only got $5 for that, and then $10 for the dry goods. That's 15. So that should be. I think that should be 36 because of the coupon. But anyway, we'll just we'll just say that we'll just let that one go because I'm already had a punishing turn. So we'll just pretend that the customer just rolled those naturally. And we'll get rid of that sale. That was a disaster, especially that first person, Diane, loading up their cart with tremendous amount of groceries, buying out our entire store. And that was the first customer of the day too. So anyway, we'll grab another 5 cards here, and I hope for a better round 3. We don't actually have a lot of money to spend. Oh, that's good. Only 2 very simple shoppers. That's great. Get those guys out of the way. And that's good because we got 30. Well, we should have $32, but yeah, I missed that coupon thing. Just realized that. And now produce, very cheap. So we're going to load up on produce again. I have no idea if this is a good strategy buying 5 each time, but we're going to give that a go. We need to replace the frozen food. We need to replace the bakery food as well. And so hopefully this is this is going to give us yeah, and even having an extra dry good might not be a bad idea either. But hopefully this gives us the chance to restock shelves and hang on for another round at least. But I can see why, if you have a bad round at this, you could easily, go out. I mean, if I had rolled a frozen good or a bakery good in that last round, that would have been a disaster. I would have lost more food and less. I would have had less profit, and yeah, it would have been bad. So yeah, so just as a reminder, the thing that I missed there was whenever a customer uses a coupon, they buy the 2 goods in the coupon on the coupon chart, but they get a $2 discount off the total price. So when you sell a dairy and a produce, normally you'd get $7, but in that case you get 5. So, but I think the coupon is a very valuable tool to to offset a bad roll, because otherwise this game would be pretty much pure dice fest, pure luck fest. But it's interesting after having played it. This is just my first game of this, and it's all I've ever played. But you do feel like there's enough decision points, and you should you have enough to work on, to chew on, to make decisions. You're not totally tied down to a standard best play or anything like that. Um, here I was actually buying my wish list, and then I realized there's no way I can afford it, so I got to put some stuff back. That would be my wish list, is to have that much food in my storeroom, but it's not going to happen. So, but the decision points are interesting because you do actually get a fair amount of, I think you get a fair amount of options and choices to make. You don't feel like you're really, forced down a certain path. And depending on which customers come up, and sort of, it's like almost like yeah, poker. You have limited information, but it certainly helps knowing that the first customers are only going to grab one item and then they're out of there, because that's going to make it very it's going to make it very good to to get through those guys and then deal with whatever comes next. But as long as I keep everything fairly balanced, I think I'll be in decent shape. And generally, I think, with only 5 different products and 15 cubes, I think honestly your best play for the most part is to keep 3 of each in 3 of each good in stock in the main supermarket. Keep that up out front. And then just as much as possible, a balanced stockroom, but with the view of managing the best before dates. Obviously, I was buying 5 produce, and that may have been too much, but I just didn't want to run out of produce and miss out on a penalty because of that. And produce is normally cheap. And it's really not that much high profit either. So, if I can, treat it almost as a loss leader, just to make it work. Now, anyway, I got that. I spent all my money there. So, and once again, you have to forgive my mistake of earlier. I would probably have left off a baked good or something like that in this case. But the point was to spend down to 0. It's a bit of a risk to do that, but I just want to make sure that we have enough goods in the store. And you can see, just as I'm throwing the stuff out there, I kind of put a little bit too much out there just by accident. But you can see with 4 dairy cubes already stocked there, and really the other, I think it just makes sense to have 3 of each. I can't see any scenario where, unless you see a customer coming up, like I know some customers that are buy only 1 good, and you can allow for that. Um, But other than that, I mean, I think you just have to keep as balanced as possible and just run with 3 each on in general. Um, that's just the the neutral play. As far as sales go, we're in round 3. I have to do 2 more sales, so I've got uh, I've got a couple of I have to have basically 2 sales in the next 4 turns. So I think I'm going to uh, put a sale on. I'm just thinking about which one would cause potentially the least amount of damage. We'll just go with the frozen. I don't like to take a cut on the profits on those, but I'm just banking on the fact that, hey, maybe, um, they can, frozen might not be as commonly rolled as the other ones. So this is a dairy, which is great. That's my dairy that was set to expire, so we put that right at the front of the shelf, so we grabbed it first, which is excellent, and gets me back into the money a little bit. Oh, there's another big cart. So I think I'm going to while I still have goods in stock, I'm going to get Jackie out there because it looks like with the other shopper, it's not going to be as big a deal. Now, Jackie also has some coupons, which might actually be the best way to go with this because a 2 is a 6 and a 7. So that would be a dairy and a produce. That is the way I'm going to go on that front. It's not a lot of money again because of the coupon reduction, but again, I want to fill that cart, get her out of the store, and then deal with the other customers. And if I have any way of, somewhat mitigating the, which ones she is going to buy, I'd like to do that. Now I should have given myself $5 there. I don't know. So I think I'll add that in later. It was tough to the way the rules say, you should, as the customer puts goods in the cart, you add your money up. But then if they aren't satisfied, then you have to remove the money. I think it's maybe better just to try and, remember the money, like add it all up at the end, more or less. Because as long as you can remember where the coupons were, then you're good. And I'm going to just roll for, I didn't like what the mix was for the coupons, so we're just going to roll again and load up the cart with some produce. Good thing I have extra in the stock room. There's the 5 for the first purchase, and then the dry goods, which is awesome, for $10. That's awesome, and a few more bucks for the produce. And we got a second happy customer. Okay, this one is Brandon. Is not too bad. 3 spots, but I may just do the restocking now, just as a way to. Well, maybe I'll just fill up Rory's cart here first. Let's just get this. Okay, there's the produce. Okay, so now we're going to definitely do the restocking this time. So going to give myself a few bucks there. Every dollar counts just to keep me above water. I'm going to do the restocking right now. I'm going to bring in the produce part or sorry, I forgot. I don't have any produce there. So running a bit low on that, but I'm going to throw everything out there and just hopefully don't have to deal with any produce. And there's no coupon on this shopper's card, so it's just going to be straight luck. We'll see how we do. And got a good from the bakery, which is fine. And a 7, which is another thing from the bakery, which is good. Lots of carbs. He needs those. And a 9, which is exactly just missed the produce, I think. Oh no, sorry, the produce was only the 1 number. So yeah, so now yeah, I think if I did that correctly, then that means that we may have helped Brandon fill his cart properly, and everything looks good. After I calculated it, I realized that Brandon hit the sale item and therefore qualified to buy produce and therefore was not a happy camper. So that's unfortunate. I thought I was okay there, but once again, the sale. I mean, man, is that ever a mixed blessing? That is, if you're fully stocked, it's awesome. Or if you're later on and you've got a few things on the shelves, it's great because they load up their cart. But man, that can put you over, unfortunately, if you're not careful. So anyway, on to round 4, and we'll see how far. See if we can continue, um, staying in business because we're down to $17. We have some goods left in the store, but there's not a lot of leeway. We've got 5 more customers coming in, so let's see what we're looking at. If there's more like from that turn 2 there, oh my gosh, that could be a disaster. So there's another customer card there. Another customer card there, and let's see, hopefully there'll be customers without a huge demand. Otherwise this could be interesting because I'm probably going to have to spend down pretty close to 0 just to get some stuff in the stock room. So let's take a look at these customers. Well, one good, one bad. So, and we'll take a look at the food cost. Produce is cheap again. Bakery is cheap, which is fine. Yeah, we're just gonna have to throw stuff out there, whatever we can afford. I think basically, frozen is super expensive. Dry goods pretty expensive. I'm pretty happy with dry goods where they are, I think, but yeah, I might just top up the baked goods, and it'd be nice to have another frozen if we could, just to, get things up to some sort of, it looks like I'm going to be running this game with pretty much nothing in the storeroom, maybe 1 or 2 items in the storeroom, and that's it, or in the stock room. So yikes, it's going to be a tough balance. I just hope we don't get hammered again. That second turn just did me in. After that first turn, I had everything going really well, and now it's just, I'm just being hammered. So I'm just trying to get a view of the customers, what they might want, but it's not very predictable, unfortunately. So maybe yeah, those frozen goods and dry goods are way too expensive. Not going to make much money on the frozen at all, just $2 per. So, but you got to have it. You can't be out of stock. So we're going to put the produce in the load that up, and I don't know, maybe have the baked goods as backup there. I just want to make sure that we can manage this, balance this out effectively. Yeah, again, just basically looking at 3 each. I've got a little bit over in produce, a little bit under in frozen. But again, I'm hoping that... So who do I get rid of first? Well, we'll do the small cart, get him out of the way. I want to see what the next shopper looks like, and then we can maybe make some decisions. Hey, got some dry goods, which is awesome. That will help out a lot. You'll notice I did not do a sale this time around, very, very purposefully. I think a sale might have finished me off very literally. And Amanda's not so bad, but I'm going to try and get the big carts done, especially if there's a larger penalty for not completing them. Number 1, they're potentially worth more money, and number 2, they usually have a bigger penalty if they don't, if you don't fill their order. So, and I've got 1 coupon to work with, so I'm unsure as to whether to use coupons, early or late in a shopping trip. I was experimenting with trying early in this case. So we got a couple goods there for him, and then it'll be up to 2 rolls now. But I'm covered in frozen as long as I don't get 2 rolls in a row. That'll hurt. 2 frozens in a row, but assuming normal probability, we shouldn't get. There we go. There's a produce. That's fine. And let's try one more. Oh yes, gotta get my $3. But hey, it keeps me in the black. And a 5, which is another produce. So suddenly produce is looking really low. But Chris did fill his cart, which is great. And let's get him out of there. Do I do my restocking now? Yeah, why not? Doesn't much matter. Get rid of a card, whether it's this turn or next turn. Yeah, let's take a quick look and see. Yeah, they're about the same. So we'll just continue on with this particular customer, and hopefully we don't get hammered here. Produce and frozen goods are especially vulnerable, but I'm happy to get rid of the baked goods that are about to expire. That is always a good thing. There goes the last frozen good. So it's all down to the luck of the die now. You're on 8, which happens to be dry goods. So we're getting a bit low in the store, as I knew I would be. This is going to be tricky. One more customer left though, and then I finished the round. Actually, I made a fair bit of money actually on that customer, so that wasn't bad. That was not bad. We've actually got 3 out of 4 done. Happy customers. So I don't want to be hit hard too much on the produce side of it. Oh, and I meant to restock that produce cube. Because of where the screen was. I know it sounds like a bad excuse, but because of where the screen was, I didn't actually see that up there. I meant to restock with everything I had because there was nothing, no point in letting it sit in the storeroom at this stage. I don't think it factors in, but just so that you know, it was actually an oversight on my part. I remember when I was playing that it was, I'm like, oh, can I edit that out? No, I'll just leave it in. Hey, we all make mistakes playing these games. So we're going to go with the coupon on that one. And we roll a 12, which is dry goods. We don't have them, so one of the customers leaves dissatisfied, but all things considered, I don't think I did too badly, really. I mean, so I'm going to lose some money to waste because of the dairy's all going to expire. I got a baked good that's going to expire. But all told, though, I don't think that's too bad. I've got, I just need, and I do have some money now. As far as winning in a dominating fashion where I've got unlimited funds, that's not happening at the moment. But, and I've got an empty store and an empty stock room. But darn it, I am actually going to, spend some money, get totally restocked, and we've only got 1 turn left. So what's interesting now is as you move into you got this turn, next turn, but what's interesting is that as the game progresses, you have to worry less and less about the expiry dates of stuff. So suddenly, the only ones that I really need to worry about are produce and bakery, because everything else is going to expire after the end of the game, and therefore essentially never expires. So whatever I buy is good for the rest of the game at this point, except for produce and bakery. So let's see how the prices ended up. Produce is very cheap again, which is fine. Still have some expensive frozen food, but you know what? I have to buy basically 4 of everything, or pretty much. I don't see any other way of doing it. And this is, as I went through this game, yes, you do get choices when it comes to stocking, but in many cases, I think, given the limitations of the stockroom of 20 cubes and the limitations of the 15 cubes inside the store, realistically, you're probably, if you have the money, your best buy, honestly, is probably four of each cube. Uh, that'll max out your storeroom capacity to give you one backup in of each good. So if you restock, you'll be able to replenish the ones that are low. Uh, the only exception would be, again, if you look at the customer there with, uh, the two spots in his card, he's taking two frozen goods. That's a given. So, you know, you can take that into consideration and maybe skew it a little bit one way or the other. Maybe buy three produce and four frozen or something like that. Just to kind of skew it that way. But the reality is, as I was planning out my wish list, it's very interesting that they made 10 cubes, in each truck. Um, maybe there's a strategy where you go really overloading in dry goods or something like that, and you maybe run a couple of items empty, like produce, and just take the risk that you're going to lose customers in the hopes that you're providing, the expensive goods and selling a lot of them. There may be that strategy, but to me, I just think that there's a lot to be lost when you don't meet a customer's demands. And so, if you're not meeting the customer's demands, then you lose not only the penalty on the card, but also the goods that they've shopped for to that point. So, yeah, maybe there's some strategy that someone's going to figure out there where you just, focus on, three or four of the goods in the store and you run the risk of the other one. But I don't know. It's tough to say. I guess if it is, really, um, if someone's really crunched the numbers on the customer cards, it might be the case. So I'm going to run my last sale of the game. I'm going to put it on produce, and I've loaded up on produce. So we have to, um, hopefully we've got enough produce to last us this round. But basically, more or less everything's going out there because, why the heck not? I can't. I'm putting everything out there right now just to, to survive. So, um, just throw it all out there. Let's, pay. I'm going to pay pretty much everything right back down to zero. So as I said, I may not be dominating in this game as a as a to get a super win in this game, you need $250 or more, and that seems to be a real stretch for me. But anyway, we get this first customer out of the way. We knew he was going to get two frozen goods, so that was an easy one to fulfill. Um, and so that I knew I was going to get money right off the hop, so I could pay a penalty or whatever if a customer leaves unhappy. Still pretty balanced overall. Just as I said, just hoping for the best here. And yeah, just as I'm looking at this, I think I may have accidentally overstocked the grocery store. I just need to double check. I was just counting there because I got, yeah, I think I did accidentally overstock it by a few cubes. So apologies again. This was my very first game, so I should have had some cubes, in the stock room there. So because just adding up the cubes there, there's too many. So anyway, you'll have to forgive me on that one. Looking at the game the way it is, I probably would have taken a couple produce off, and that would have given me, let's say, well, with produce on sale, I probably would have taken one produce and a dairy and a baked good off, and then that would have given me the ability to have four produce and four frozen. So, but anyway, yes. So that's one of the issues when you watch yourself play the game again. But hey, as I said, we all make mistakes, and we all have to learn. And hey, one of the joys in playing solitaire usually is that there's no one picking on you for breaking the rules. So sometimes that happens. Um, and as nice as tabletop is, if you play a lot of the amazing applications that are coming out, software that with rules enforcement and all that stuff, it's pretty sweet to be able to play a game and really not have to worry about the rules at all. So I play with people sometimes that don't even know the rules. They just follow the script on the screen, and they and they know um, what needs to happen by the scripting, not necessarily because they know the rule book inside and out. So bakery sold out. Again, bit of a risk, but what can you do? And we're just going to see how many customers we can, satisfy here. We're back up and we got some money now, so we can afford to pay some penalties if necessary. I don't want to, but oh my gosh, that one will be a penalty right there. We'll try and fulfill this one first. Hopefully it won't be, hopefully we have a shot at it. Or, let's see, roll the 5, which is bakery. So that customer walks in. Oh, wait a sec. No, I'm going to actually take a look at the coupon. And actually, we can maybe we can get away with this on a coupon basis. You never know. Go big or go home. I don't know. You never know if we can pull this off, because Dave has a couple coupons that we can maybe use here to get us out of trouble. It's a big risk though, because we got a lot of goods on there. We really need this rule to come through. We cannot, don't be, okay, it's dairy, good. So actually Dave ends up leaving pretty satisfied. We had to use both coupons on his cart, but that's okay. We'll take it, and we'll take the money and run. And then that leaves one customer. We do not have a lot of goods left. It's probably, if it wasn't Dave, it was going to be the other guy is going to be disappointed. So, but with Dave, we actually get a bit of a bonus for completing his card because it is a large cart. We actually get a bit of extra money on that because of that. So that's going to be good. That's going to push us into a nice, probably we've been in the best shape so far in this game. And now suddenly, hey, if we have a good round 6, we could actually come out with a pretty decent victory here, surprisingly, despite the few mistakes that have been made. So there goes the last frozen good. Now we just need anything other than frozen or bakery, and we're good. There goes the last produce. Just checking the coupons just to make sure. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Does not make sense. Rolls an 8. And wow, we really lucked out there. Yeah, so we totally lucked out there. Albert is going to take his goods and head home. A happy man, if I'm doing this right. Oh, wait a sec. Sale item. I forgot about that rule. So that means that he's going to buy the produce, and then he's going to buy a couple other things that he can't get. So, shoot. Once again, the sale does me in. That's just such a, I mean, man, it's frustrating because it can work really well, especially on the last, shopper. When you're trying to make as much money as you can, you're not worried about going out of stock and stuff. But anyway, last round, we're going to see if we can pull this off. We got a decent amount of money, but we do need to spend a fair bit to. Oh man, that big dry goods are really steep. But we'll probably have to buy at least a couple of those anyway. I think just to have 3 goods of each, and maybe a backup or 2 in the stock room is going to be our best bet. We're going to buy some extra stuff just to make sure that we can, do a restock and drop a customer card. Because at this point, it's going for the win, but it's also about minimizing a loss as well. So got to make sure that we finish preferably above 50. And so we're going to load up on produce again. Very similar play to last time. I wish the dry goods were not so expensive, but that's how it is. At least they, as you get to know those production cards as well, you'll know what a good price is and what isn't. I wasn't buying stuff because it was $3, thinking that, oh, there's got to be a better deal, but there may not be. So now the only goods at this point that we have to worry about expiring are the produce cubes. Those are the only ones that are going to expire on us. Just putting together a bit of a wish list here and seeing how the numbers work out, because I want to make sure we can, afford this and make sure that there's a bit of backup there. I really want this turn has to go well, because if it does, then we're home free. We may even finish over 100 points for our first game, as long as you excuse the a few rules errors. We're basically in good shape. So just double checking. I find sometimes it's good to just do a wish list and then work backwards, count the cubes, make sure you haven't taken too many, and just work backwards. And just trying to, I think having 4 of each good is a good, generally it's a good idea. I can maybe go a little bit less with one, but that's kind of my goal here. I'm going to spend a bunch of money getting getting everything back on the shelves. But I mean, all things considered, it hasn't been that bad as far as going bankrupt. I haven't really had a situation where I've had no money and I wasn't able to fulfill an order, which is good, because I think that I did run a risk a couple times spending down to zero. I mean, that one turn I only had $17 to stock the store with. And now, look, I'm blowing down from 73 or whatever it was down to 18, just making sure I got stuff loaded up. So anyway, I got the store stocked. Wendell is coming in. He's taking a baked good. That's great. We'll get him moving out the door. And then, oh yeah, there's another big cart. So let's do the big cart first. And again, I think timing the restocking generally in this situation, all things being equal, you fill the big cart and then you bring in a little cart guy. Basically, as soon as you get a chance to see the next card, the next shopper, then you'll know whether to run just the guy with the small list out and then fulfill that and then restock, or run another play and see if you can fill the big cart before you do the restock. You might even be able to get away with doing the big cart and then the small cart and then the restock. That would be kind of ideal, all things being equal, but really depends on how far you're willing to push your luck. So anyway, did a bit of a recalculation here, just trying to figure out what the best use of the situation is. We're not going to use the coupon. We're going to just, and he rolls bakery, and we're done with him, which is unfortunate. So I just needed to deduct the money that was spent. And that's as I said, sometimes I think it's better just to complete the shopping trip and then do the adding of the money instead of going back trying to calculate how much was spent and all that. It may just be best to maybe push the cubes closer together if there's a coupon used or something like that, and then just add up whatever's there at the end. I think it just makes more sense. So anyway, we got one extra baked good on there just to cover that. We're gonna go with the larger cart, and hopefully we can we're fairly well stocked outside of the bakery section, where we just threw in whatever last loaf of bread we had. But otherwise, we're relatively well stocked considering there's only, 5 more spots. I don't have to worry about a sale. I can just think about coupons and whether they make sense. But yeah, I think it's just better just to roll this one through and, basically, I mean, if I can sell more dry goods, obviously it's a good idea. I'm going to keep an eye on that for the coupons. But other than that, I think we're okay. As long as we don't have some really bad luck with the bakery side of things, we should be okay. Let's see what this is, an 8. So I think we're good. We're safe. So now I'll just double check the coupon row just to make sure. And I think we'll just do that. We'll just take the coupon. It might not be the best move in retrospect because it means I get two less dollars. Puts me at 51 basically. But the one thing is that I didn't factor into that, and that's why I think I maybe should have just had him roll the 2 and just taken my chances, is that the waste. And I have to waste 2 produce, which cost me three produce, cost me $3, and that puts me in the minor defeat category, if I'm not mistaken. Slightly less defeat. It says, sure, there's some money in the bank, but if you don't figure out some new strategies soon, your store and livelihood will be in danger. Let's be honest, running a grocery store is not your life's purpose. And that may be the case, but I did enjoy this game of Supermarché. I hope you enjoyed watching it. And please like and subscribe. This has been Legendary Tactics.